Let's do this thing. So thank you, Hunter. Hunter's living his best life in Austin this summer. He's back to rock the crap out of the fall. We have a little, I'm going to send to you guys a little President's Banquet wager for you guys for the push. But Hunter is someone that you guys have seen back-to-back years, and I was talking over just phenomenal performances, going after some pretty incredible years, going after a silver cup, going after his Rolex. And then now, you know, working towards another, like, I mean, just averaging about 300K a year, which is pretty amazing. And so it was a big shift. I'll tell you guys, he didn't start that way. And when he started selling to go after, you know, the silver cup, go after his Rolex, like in the beginning, like he hadn't sold, and he can share his story, but like, he started mentoring with Francisco, who guys are gonna learn from later today, and just started learning psychology of stuff, and really has become one of our best sales reps. And so I'm super excited for him to share with you guys the psychologies of, you know, selling complete sets at a higher level. Cool. So you guys ready to take notes? I'm gonna hand it over to Hunter. Let's do this thing.
Cool. Can you guys hear me all right?
Wonderful.
Awesome. So I'm Hunter. Some of y'all know me, some don't. I know I met some of y'all at the conference a couple weeks ago, but for those of you who I haven't met, it's nice to meet you. And yeah, like Kathy said, I wasn't always a super great sales rep. I think my first 2 years in Cutco, I sold like $50,000 total. And then by the end of my second year, I had so like my third year, I sold like 400 in that time frame, which is like a really big jump for a lot of people. So there were a couple of things that really clicked for me along the way. Like Kathy said, I learned the psychology of things, like how sales work and stuff like that. But really, I was like, hey, if I just, you know, sell a lot of ultimates, I'll sell a lot in a much shorter time period. So I took a lot of time and dove into that, and just learned what works, what doesn't. And I'm going to share with you guys what does work, and what doesn't work, and why things work. So about this time last year, a little later last year, I was working pretty much every weekend. And one thing I noticed is that one day I sold an ultimate the first like 30 minutes of the day. So like barely into the day, like I had like 12 hour shift. And the first 30 minutes I sold the ultimate. And, you know, what's crazy is my goal for that entire day was to sell like 3K. And whenever I did that in the first 30 minutes, it really made me like realize like, okay, well, that was easy. Now I'm going to sell 6K. And I was still like looking at like that 3. I was like, all right, that was lucky. I'm going to do 3K like I was planning on still. And I ended up selling a little bit more throughout that day. And it was like probably like 7 or 8 o'clock. And I was having like a super phenomenal day. I was at like 5K already. One of my better days behind the booth for sure. And my energy was great. And that was like a super important thing. And come like 7 or 8 o'clock, I actually ended up selling another ultimate set. So I sold like $8,000 that day. And it ended up being the best day of my career behind the booth. And I was like the happiest. I mean, you can imagine, you know, making $4,000 in a day if you're at straight 50% commission. I was like, all right, I want to do this again and again and again. So I really started like digging in and like figuring out like how I did that and transferring it. And what's really cool is whenever like 6 months later, I pulled my stats and I looked at it. And from the time I sold like those first 2 ultimates, over the next 16 weeks, so I guess it was 4 months, I had sold 16 ultimates. So I was averaging like 1 ultimate per weekend, which was really cool because every time I go work now, I know like, hey, that's my average. Like I'm good for at least, no matter how the show goes, I can be at 1K on a Sunday. It's like my average, I'm going to sell an ultimate one way or another. So it was really cool. It was 1 ultimate per weekend. I averaged for like four months straight. And just to kind of put that in perspective, that's about 42,000 CPO, give or take. You know, some people, I bonus some stuff, some got extra stuff, but the average right there is about 42K over 14 weeks just in ultimates. And it's kind of funny because before I sold those first 2 ultimates, I actually looked, I had sold 1 ultimate in the last, I think it was 8 months. So the 8 months before that, I had sold like 1 or 2 ultimates. And it was just such a major shift. And I really didn't even do much. I just implemented these really tiny things I'm going to share with you. basically the things that clicked for me. So I remember I was working a show in last year before I was selling these ultimates. And one of the days I sold 4 galley sets, which is really cool because like, I love, like who wouldn't want to sell 4 galley sets? I know I would. I'm sure all of y'all would. I was super excited. But I felt like there was a lot of CPO that I left on the table, that all those people getting galley sets, I felt like they should have got more, they could have got more. And I didn't really know what it was. So, I called up my mentor at the time and I asked him, like, how do I sell bigger sets? Because I knew some of the people had the money to buy more than the galley sets. I just didn't know, what it was that I wasn't doing or that I was doing incorrectly. So I'm going to save you guys all the time and like the months of trial and error it took for me to figure it out. I'm going to simplify it to you for you. So the first thing that really is that everybody should understand is that if somebody can pay for a galley set or a homemaker set in full, they can get the ultimate. And I know there's like a $2,000 price difference there, but if they're paying $1,200 to $1,500 all at once, I call that an upsell signal. And there's no reason that somebody shouldn't be able to spend $650 for 5 months if they can buy a homemaker all at once, because they've already covered 2 to 3 of the payments on the complete set just by doing that one payment today. They're over halfway done. It's kind of common sense, like, hey, it's 2 more payments and you guys get double or triple what you were already getting, right? So just so you guys real quick, just think back to every time you guys have sold like a homemaker +8 or a galley set. And it's just funny because that could have been an ultimate set, right? And you look back, you're like, wow, that's crazy. But it's true. And the second thing, and I go kind of quick, so if you guys just want to take your notes, and then at the end, if we have time, you can ask me some questions. But the second thing is that you have to be confident in showing the ultimate set. I know for a lot of people, myself included at the time, it can be a little intimidating to ask a customer to spend, $3,200 with you. Some of them you've known for less than an hour. You want them to spend over $3,000. Where like even behind the booth, I've asked people to spend $3,000, $6,000, $10,000 in 10 minutes, right? And it's always nerve-wracking, but you get used to it. And what's one thing that customers pick up on is if you feel uncertainty or uncomfortable asking for them to spend that much, they feel uncomfortable and uncertain about spending that much. It's in your voice, it's in your body language. So like if you guys are sitting like this, you're standoffish with your arms crossed, you're kind of pushing them away, you're not open. There's things like that they can read whenever you ask them to ask for the order, and they get the vibe and they're like, well, he doesn't feel right about it. She doesn't feel right about it. I don't feel right about it. And it's kind of funny because there's that saying that's like, fake it till you make it. That's what you have to do. You just have to ask for it so much. It's going to be uncomfortable at first, but after the 10th, 15th, 20th time, you'll be a pro at it. And you're going to feel comfortable. Your customers are going to feel comfortable, and they're going to be a lot more willing to purchase whatever you ask them to. So that was the second thing. And the third thing is to focus and close on the ultimate. I used to ask customers, I'd do my presentation, I'd show them the 3 sets, the homemaker, the signature, the ultimate. And I used to ask them what set fits them best. And I found that most people were picking like the homemaker or the signature set. And I realized when you do that, when you ask them which one fits them best, the customers don't normally go to the biggest set. They want to be modest, or they may feel like overwhelmed by that set, or maybe they're with their spouse and they don't know how their spouse is feeling. So they don't want to be the one that says they want the biggest set if their spouse wants a smaller set or something like that. So that's whenever I just started asking directly for the ultimate set, and kind of go from there. Because when they pick what they want, they unknowingly set in their mind that they want that set and no other. So even if they wanted the ultimate, they like it, they can afford it. If you ask them and they say like the homemaker or the signature, well, they just told themselves and convinced themselves psychologically that that's the set they want. They don't want to hear you upsell them the bigger set because they already made their mind on the smaller sets, right? So whenever you close on the ultimate set, like whenever I do my appointments, I have an ultimate set right in front of me. If it's a service call, I bring the whole block with me and I just set it on their table, or if I'm at the booth, it's already there. And I actually lean on it the entire appointment. So I just kind of like throw my arm up and I sit on it, because when they're like talking to me, engaging with me, and they see what I'm leaning on, that's the only thing they see, because, energy flows where focus goes. So if they're constantly seeing it, they're gonna like it, right? And whenever I close on the ultimate, I show the shears, I cut the penny. Wow, that's amazing. What's cool about these shears is they come in the ultimate set. Yes, they come in the signature set, but they also come in the ultimate set. And I show them that, and I go straight to it. And boom, it's right there whenever I start breaking it down. And by the way, the ultimate set, this is what it comes with, right? So I'll show you that in a minute. But one thing I just wanted to put in real quick is, I know a lot of people say, I used to say it actually, that the Homemaker is the number one most sold set in the US. And it's because it's in one of the scripts, I believe. And while that is true, that's only true because the Homemaker, the Ultimate, and the Signature haven't been around since the 1940s like the Homemaker has. Of course, it's been around 60 years longer than the other sets that we're going to have sold more. But what's really true is the Ultimate set is the most popular set that Cutco makes. And a key line that I say whenever I say that is, it's not the most popular set because everybody uses every single knife in there every single day. It'd be crazy to use 19 knives in a day. It's because it has every knife you and your family, it's a key word because Cutco, you pass it down generation to generation. It has every knife you and your family will ever need for the rest of their life, right? So it's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And just so you guys know, people don't buy the Ultimate set because it comes with every single knife and they're going to use it every single day. They buy it because they like the concept and the safety and security of having everything. It's kind of like insurance, right? Like I have health insurance. I don't get hurt very often. I hardly ever use it, but it's there when I need it, right? And that's kind of how the Ultimate set is, or the complete set. And whenever after I, say the shears come in the Ultimate set comes with this. It comes with all your utility knives, right? Your trimmer for your fist-sized stuff, your petite carver for your medium-sized stuff, your carver for your really big stuff. You get your small and large paring knife, 2 cleavers, a couple other knives, and then the 3 chef knives. And that's like the main thing I noticed is most people, I used to always get that objection. I don't need 3 chef knives. So whenever you start getting an objection a lot, you learn to just handle it before it comes up so you don't have to deal with it later on. And so whenever I say it comes with 3 chef knives, it's because they're the most used piece in the kitchen. And if you only have 1 or 2 chopping knives, they're going to go dull a lot quicker since they're the most used piece. And then they immediately think, oh, I don't want my knives to go dull, so I'm buying new ones. I do need all 3 chef knives, right? Well, the only set that comes with 3 chef knives is the Ultimate. And just so you guys know, it's our job to help people and make their life easier in the kitchen. And the best way to help someone is honestly to get them as much Cutco as possible. Once you realize you're doing clients a favor by getting them an Ultimate set, you're going to sell so much more Cutco. It's unbelievable because you feel it inside of you. You're truly helping them. Whenever I sell an Ultimate, I'm happy for myself, but I'm so much happier for the client knowing that they're set for life. Their kids are set for life. Their kids, you get the point. Right? So the next thing is that if someone has less than 5 pieces, they should pretty much be buying a whole new set. I remember 6 of the Ultimates I sold were to people who had 5 or knives less already. It made it a little bit easier because they knew how good Cutco was, but I say that they should buy a whole new set because if you're going to upgrade somebody from 5 knives to a set bigger than a Homemaker, it's actually better for them to buy a whole new set because they get that bundle discount whenever they buy the set. When you get a set, you automatically save 20-25% at the package price, because I know the Ultimate retails for $39.95. You save $700. whenever you buy it as the set itself. So with that being said, if they have less than 5 knives, I do an entire new demo for them. I pretend like they're a brand new Cutco owner, go through the guarantee, hit all the points, because it's also probably been 5, 10, 15 years since they heard about Cutco. So you want to build that value back. And then, I would say, close to half the sets I've sold for Ultimates were people who already have 5 knives. And what you do is whenever their set comes in, you just take their knives, send them back to the factory. Guess what? They got their Christmas shopping done already. Their 5 knives just got refurbished or replaced. They have 5 kids or 5 cousins or whatever. That's 5 gifts right there. Each one gets a Cutco knife. So they also get like a 2-for-1, which is really cool. And the next thing that I'm gonna say is just like a couple like different key points that I feel like a lot of people should use to generate extra CPO. And the first one is I don't sell table knives with my sets, whether it's the Siggy or the Ulti. I don't really tell people that the bigger sets come with the table knives, mainly because at the booth, my sets already have steak knives in them. And to be honest with you guys, I've probably done over like 1,000 or 2,000 client sharpenings. So I've ran into people who have had their Cutco for 40, 50, 60 years. And they are always so shocked whenever they see that Cutco came out with bigger steak knives, and they always wish they had the bigger steak knives. So with that being said, I just always show the steak knives. It's more CPO, but also I just know people are going to like them more. And if you try and show, do you want the steak knives or the table knives? Customers start to get confused and all that kind of stuff. But what's really cool is that if it's just a little out of their budget with the steak knives, you just drop down to the table knives. And on the Ultimate, I know it saves them like $300, which is really cool. So it's like, oh, it's like $50 a month, too much. Okay, well here, check these table knives out. It's almost the same set. So that'll get you some extra CPO, also get you a couple more orders by dropping down without having to go to a whole new set. And after they pick their set, and you always want to get the card before you upsell, right? Basically, I always have my gadgets with me, my entertainer pack, my ice cream scoop, my vegetable peeler, my pizza cutter, all that kind of fun stuff. And I just scoop them all up in my hand. I have like 5 gadgets in my hand, and I just extend it to them like this. I'm like, all right, which one of these would you use? I don't ask them like, would you use any of these? Like, do you want the, it's like, hey, which of these would you use? And then they pick 1, 2, 3, kind of whatever it is. I'm like, okay, cool. I make a note of that. And then like, right as I'm about to place the order, it's like, hey, by the way, it's an extra $20 a month to add like both the gadgets you picked. I know it's not much. Is that like, would you want to add that on? And I'll tell you like 80% of the time they say yes, just because psychologically they said they'd use it already. They told themselves. And then also you already have the credit card. So the transaction, it's pretty much done in their mind. And they're a lot more likely just to say yes once you already have that. So that makes it really easy. And I don't go much into detail about the ice cream scoop or pizza cutters. I always tell them like, hey, it's Cutco, it's high quality, right? And most people are like, yeah, it's going to last forever, because they know, if you did your job right, explain the guarantee, they're going to know Cutco pretty much is going to last forever. So with that being said, that's pretty much that. And I just kind of repeat that process if they say yes to like gadgets. And then I show them like the kitchen tools, and I just say yes and yes and yes, because somebody once told me that you should never end your appointment on a no. Because if you end your appointment on a no or on a yes, well, there was like so much stuff that was left off that, you don't even know if they would have said yes to, right? Like the kitchen tools, the entertainer pack, more cutting boards, all the accessory pieces, gift sets, right? All that kind of stuff. And just one final thing to wrap up with you guys is like Cutco's worth its weight in gold. To be honest with you, I would sell the Ultimate pieced out at $3,950 if I could. I know I don't, because it's not right. And other reps would also, quote them at a lower price. But I say that because people, they will spend that. And once you realize that, like I said, Cutco's worth its weight in gold, it's just a total game changer. So with that being said, the only other thing that I want to add is that a lot of people that I talk to or that I work with, whenever they're like pitching like all these sets, they want to give away everything for free. And I'm sure some of y'all have like been to the Louis Vuitton store before or the Gucci store before. If you buy a Louis Vuitton purse, they don't give you a wallet for free, right? You buy the wallet. And it's almost the same thing with Cutco. You don't have to feel like you should give the whole kitchen sink away for free, because that's not what sells Cutco. Free stuff isn't what sells Cutco. Cutco, the guarantee, the product is what sells Cutco. So with that being said, I don't know, Kathy, if we have time, but I have time to answer a couple questions if anybody has any questions.
Questions for Hunter. Daniel.
So you have to explain like the difference between the steak knife and the table knives a little bit before you offer them like just straight up the steak knives every time, right? Like kind of like.
Yeah.
Do you talk about the table knives?
No, I honestly don't mention the table.
I never talked. Just like when I sold homemakers, when I started, like I never told them it came without table knives. Like we have a homemaker +8. Like you want it red or in white, you know? And so I never even talked about it not having table knives. I'm like, why the hell would someone want a set without table knives? Same deal with the bigger sets. Like doesn't talk about the table knives, just talk about like the steak knives.
Pretty much. Yeah, I just show them. I have a steak knife. So I'm like, it comes with 12 of these. And I just give them the steak knife.
So when you do your demos, like when you show all the pieces of the complete set, do you just say that you're going to show them all the pieces of the complete set, or do you still do I'm going to show you the homemaker pieces while mentioning complete set pieces?
So, I mean, all the homemaker pieces come in the complete set. So I show them, like as I'm showing like all the pieces in the complete set, if they say no to the complete set, then it's like, okay, and I'll drop down to the homemaker. And they already know what comes in the homemaker because I showed it in the complete set. So I'm like, oh, and it's one thing is like, it's really important to make customers feel comfortable when they're dropping down. So anytime somebody says no to the complete set or a Cutco kitchen, like word for word, every time I say, oh, it's totally okay, Miss Jones. Just so you know, most people don't go with the complete set right off the bat. Even though I already told them it's our most popular set and all that, you just really want to make them feel super comfortable. And that's why it's totally okay. Most people don't go with that. What most people do is say, start with this set. And it's like the Siggy or the homemaker. And then I'm like, this set comes with like, you know, your 10 most used pieces in the kitchen. And then I just kind of remind them what comes in it. So it's like, it's these right here that I showed you earlier.
Awesome. Any other questions? If you're on Zoom, you can unmute yourself. Anybody else? All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hunter. I appreciate it. Any other final words that you have in recapping? Anything else?
No, I'm just super excited for you guys to crush it this summer. I know I'll see some of y'all. Sorry I couldn't make it today, but I'll see some of y'all at the meeting that we have coming up and not too far from now. And yeah, main thing, just remember, is just be confident, because like you have a stench, right? So like customers, like, you know, you're either going to like smell desperate but no, you want to smell confident. Okay. And that's like the main thing to remember. It's all about the confidence. Just smile. Even if you have no idea what you're doing, just fake it till you make it. Smile. They feel the energy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hunter. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Hicks.